The plane they boarded, soaring above clouds and sunlight, was meant to carry them into joy and reunion. Yet the sky, indifferent and vast, had other plans. Midway through the journey, chaos erupted. Metal screamed, engines faltered, and the world tilted violently. The plane plunged into a river, a torrent swallowing cries, dreams, and futures. Some perished instantly, others were lost to currents. Amid the wreckage, Mrs. Margaret vanished beneath the water, her life teetering on the edge of memory and oblivion.
You're about to hear a story that carries the heart of Africa. Subscribe to African Folktales by MaC-Anison TV, where every week we share rarest African folktales you won't find anywhere else. Your subscription is the fuel that inspires us to bring you the very best of our storytelling heritage. The city of Lagos never slept. Its streets pulsed with life, yet in the shadow of towering skyscrapers, in the forgotten corners where sunlight feared to tread, a lone figure moved, silent, frail, almost invisible. Even the tallest tree casts a shadow, but some shadows hide secrets deeper than night, the elders would say. She was old, her face etched with wrinkles that told tales of joy, sorrow, and battles unseen. Yet today, her eyes carried a flicker of defiance, a spark no hardship could extinguish. Mrs. Margaret, hunched and thin, shuffled from shop to shop, her hand outstretched, trembling like the final leaf of a dying tree.
"Please, anything," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the cacophony of honking cars and bustling crowds. Some shouted back with venom, their words sharp as broken glass. "Madam, leave me alone! How can you be living like this?" Others spat ridicule. "Only you know what you did to be abandoned." Yet still, she moved forward, each step a testament to a mother's resilience. She slept on the bare, cold ground in an abandoned, half-finished building at the city's edge. The wind howled like a restless spirit, yet she endured, rising at dawn, scavenging, begging, surviving. Hunger gnawed at her bones, but she remembered the proverb, "A mother's love can tame even the fiercest storm." And she had loved with all her heart for a purpose far greater than herself. Once, she had walked in halls of influence, her voice echoing in spaces where decisions shaped lives. Her son, the doctor, was her pride, her legacy. Every sacrifice she made, every sleepless night, every tear shed silently, had been for him. But life, ever unpredictable, had turned its wheel cruelly. One moment of misfortune, one betrayal, and the streets became her palace, the wind her blanket. And yet, in the eyes of passers-by, she was nothing more than an old beggar. They could not see the mother of a healer hidden beneath tattered clothes. They could not see the woman whose hands had nurtured greatness. And as the sun dipped low, casting a golden glow over the jagged cityscape, Mrs. Margaret rose once more, her spirit unbroken, her story waiting to be told. The roar of the Lagos skyline was deafening, yet in the shadows of its towering buildings, life moved at a different rhythm. "The river that forgets its source will dry up, but the heart that remembers its roots never fades," the elders would whisper. On the tarmac of an international airport, an elderly woman laughed gently, her eyes twinkling with mischief and warmth, urging her son beside her. "Benjamin, my child, you are old enough now. It is time you find a wife," she said, teasing, her voice soft yet commanding, filled with love and hope. Benjamin chuckled, shaking his head, unaware that fate, as always, was listening. The plane they boarded, soaring above clouds and sunlight, was meant to carry them into joy and reunion. Yet the sky, indifferent and vast, had other plans. Midway through the journey, chaos erupted. Metal screamed, engines faltered, and the world tilted violently. The plane plunged into a river, a torrent swallowing cries, dreams, and futures. Some perished instantly, others were lost to currents. Amid the wreckage, Mrs. Margaret vanished beneath the water, her life teetering on the edge of memory and oblivion. Benjamin, injured but alive, was rescued by strangers whose hands were guided by kindness. He recovered in hospital walls far from home, heart heavy with worry for his mother. Mrs. Margaret awoke days later to a world unrecognizable. A man who has lost his memory must learn to walk with new feet, an elder might have said. She did not remember her name, her past, or the life she once had. The streets became her kingdom of suffering, her only companions the biting wind and the mocking words of strangers. Slowly, painfully, pieces of her past returned, like fractured sunlight through clouds, and eventually, her mind stitched itself whole again. But hunger does not wait for memory. One day, after 3 days without food, she stumbled near a roadside food store. Her legs gave way. Darkness pulled her down. Amarachi, a young woman scrubbing dishes nearby, noticed the shadow. Her heart leapt at the sight, an elderly woman, fragile and trembling on the brink of collapse. Rushing forward, Amarachi's hands shook as she supported her. "Ma, are you okay? Please, drink this." Water met parched lips, and slowly, life returned to the frail body. Without hesitation, Amarachi brought her inside, dishing out food to quiet the gnawing hunger. Mrs. Margaret ate with gratitude in her eyes, the first warmth she had felt in months. "Ma, what happened? You just fainted outside. Is everything okay?" Amarachi asked, her voice tinged with worry. "Oh, my dear child," Mrs. Margaret murmured, voice quivering. "I haven't eaten in 3 days. I have been seeking my son. But after the plane crash, I lost everything. I lost my memory, my home, even the way to reach him. The streets. They became my world." Amarachi's heart softened, understanding the depth of this woman's struggle. She reached out, her hands gentle, a bridge of compassion in a city of indifference. "Even the strongest tree bends to shelter the weak," she thought, as the old woman, weary yet alive, looked up at her with eyes full of untold stories ready to reclaim the life that had almost been lost. The sun dipped low over Lagos, casting long shadows that stretched like silent witnesses to the lives of the forgotten. "Even the river bends to shelter the weak," the elders would whisper. And today the streets themselves seemed to hold their breath. Mrs. Margaret, frail and weary, had wandered through hunger and mockery, her body trembling with exhaustion, yet her spirit clung stubbornly to life. "You don't have to live on the streets. It is dangerous. You will stay with me until you find your son. Please, Mama, I cannot allow you to roam like this." Her eyes held sincerity, courage, and warmth, the kind that makes strangers feel like family. Mrs. Margaret shook her head weakly, voice trembling with disbelief. "My daughter, thank you. But people don't even know me. Why do you want to help me this much? The food you gave me, it is already enough." Amarachi knelt beside her, placing a gentle hand over hers. "Mama, I don't need to know you to help you. My heart says I should, and I will listen. If you were my own mother, would I watch you live like this, begging, suffering? No, I would not. I know I don't have the whole world, but at least with us, you will be safe until your son finds you, or you find him. Don't worry, Mama. Everything will be fine." The words sank deep, cutting through months of abuse, shame, and solitude. Mrs. Margaret's eyes glistened with tears as she whispered a prayer of gratitude. "Ah, my daughter, thank you. May God bless you and give you your heart's desire. You will not lack." Amarachi smiled softly, brushing the tears away. "It's okay, Mama. Please, don't cry." As the day gave way to evening, Amarachi led Mrs. Margaret to her modest home. The air inside was heavy with the scent of illness and resilience. On the bed lay Amarachi's father, weak and battling kidney disease, eyes flickering with curiosity and fatigue. "Papa, good evening," Amarachi said gently. "Good evening, my daughter. How was work today?" he asked, voice frail. "Work was fine," Amarachi replied, guiding Mrs. Margaret closer. "Mama, please, this is my father. He is very sick. They say surgery is needed to save his life. But I believe, yes, I believe, that God has not abandoned him. This is how we are managing. Please help us manage. Things will get better." Mrs. Margaret looked upon the frail man, feeling a stir of empathy and hope. She knew hardship. Yet in this small home, with the young woman's courage and the father's suffering, she saw the quiet resilience of the human spirit. A kind heart is stronger than a fortress, she thought. And in that instant, Mrs. Margaret felt that she had found not only a helper, but a daughter destined to weave light into the shadows of her life. The evening sun spilled its golden light across Amarachi's modest home, painting the walls with warmth that contrasted the harshness of the streets outside. A kind heart is a lantern in the darkness. It lights the path for the lost, the elders would say. Amarachi turned to the elderly woman beside her, realizing for the first time the depth of her compassion. "Ma, please, sorry. You know I don't even know your name," she said, voice gentle, carrying concern and curiosity. Mrs. Margaret chuckled softly, a sound fragile yet full of life. "You see, you are a very nice girl," she teased lightly. "You have brought me this far even without knowing my name. My name is Mrs. Margaret. Please, what is your name?" Amarachi smiled warmly. "My name is Amarachi, Ma." Mrs. Margaret's eyes glistened as she said, "What a beautiful name for a beautiful girl." The simple exchange carried a gravity neither of them fully understood, two lives colliding in a moment of fate and kindness. Amarachi turned to her father, who lay weakly on his bed. "Papa, please, this is Mrs. Margaret." Her father, Mr. Peter, looked at the frail woman, sensing the fragility, yet recognizing her strength. "Oh, Ma, please, you are welcome. I am very sorry I cannot sit up properly to welcome you. Make yourself feel at home. This is our life. Manage with us. I believe God is going to make things better. Don't worry, you will see your son." Tears filled Mrs. Margaret's eyes. "Thank you so much. Thank you very much," her voice trembling with gratitude. "My daughter, thank you so much for helping me. You are truly an angel. God bless you. All your dreams will come true." "Ah, Mama. Amen, amen. It's okay. Please don't cry," Amarachi whispered, brushing her hand gently over Mrs. Margaret's. The following week unfolded like the turning of a hopeful page. Mrs. Margaret now had a roof over her head. She sometimes followed Amarachi to her food store, selling to customers, or stayed at home cooking, sharing chores and laughter. But most importantly, she devoted herself to caring for Mr. Peter. With years of experience as a professional nurse, she guided his care with wisdom, ensuring he received the right medicines and comfort while awaiting surgery. As Mrs. Margaret adjusted his medications one afternoon, Mr. Peter held her hand lightly, his gaze lingering. "Mrs. Margaret, please have a seat. I really want to talk to you about something," he said, voice hesitant yet earnest. She sat carefully, heart quietly bracing. "I hope nothing is wrong," she said softly. No, not really," he replied. His eyes betrayed a depth of feeling he could not yet name. "But any news about your son? It has been months, almost a year. Have you heard anything?" Mrs. Margaret's eyes clouded with memories, pain, and longing. "No, I have not. He is the only family I have left. My husband, his father, is gone. I raised Benjamin alone. He was always bright, ambitious, a doctor now. But my heart aches every day. I do not know if he is alive or dead. I wish I knew. I wish I could hear his voice. Tears spilled freely, tracing the map of her sorrow across her worn cheeks. Mr. Peter quickly brushed them away, whispering comfort. Please don't cry. I only wanted to understand. But I believe in my heart. You will see your son someday. As long as you are alive, everything is possible. A gentle warmth had begun to grow in Mr. Peter's heart. He admired her resilience, her kindness, and the tender way she carried both sorrow and strength. Yet he hesitated, caught between fear and longing, fear that his illness and uncertain future could never offer her the life she deserved. Still, every glance, every touch, whispered the unspoken truth, that love can sometimes bloom in the most unexpected places, even amidst pain and uncertainty. The sun had long dipped below the horizon, casting Lagos in a twilight haze where shadows danced between the crowded streets. A river does not forget the path it has carved, neither does the heart forget its roots, the elders would say. Benjamin's heart raced, every step heavy with determination and fear. He had been searching for his mother relentlessly, refusing to return to the States until he found her. Every police station he visited, every investigator he hired, had led to silence, dead ends, and frustration. But hope refused to leave him. Determined, Benjamin took to the streets himself. From state to state, city to city, he asked, pleaded, and searched. His heart ached with memories of the accident, of the days he had been lost, wandering, hungry, and unsure if his mother was alive. Finally, his footsteps brought him to the bustling streets of Lagos. He entered a small food store, politely approaching the young woman behind the counter. "Benjamin, please excuse me, miss. Good day." Amarachi looked up, eyes curious. "Good day, sir. You're welcome. Please, how can I help you?" Benjamin handed her a worn photograph, shaking slightly. "Please, I am searching for somebody. I have gone everywhere looking, yet I have not been able to find her. Do you know an old woman? This is her picture. She is my mother. I've been searching for her for a long time." Amarachi's eyes widened in recognition, but confusion clouded her face. "Who did you say this woman is again?" "She is my mother. Please, any news? Have you seen any lady like this?" Benjamin's voice trembled, a mixture of hope and fear. Amarachi paused, a memory surfacing. I have seen someone like this," she said cautiously. "Actually, I don't know if this woman is your mom, but the woman living in my house is exactly like the woman in this picture." Benjamin's chest tightened. "What? My mother is living with you? Please, please, take me to her." Amarachi quickly closed her shop, the clatter of utensils fading as they stepped into Benjamin's SUV. The car glided through Lagos traffic, the city's heartbeat thrumming against the windows, each minute stretched with anticipation, as if the universe itself held its breath. When they arrived, Mrs. Margaret was tending to Mr. Peter, her hands gentle and steady. The door opened, and Amarachi stepped in. Mrs. Margaret smiled warmly, thinking, "Ah, my daughter, how are you today?" And in that moment, her eyes caught Benjamin standing in the doorway. "Benjamin, is that my Benjamin? It's my son!" she exclaimed, voice trembling with disbelief and joy. Benjamin froze, emotions crashing like waves. "Mama, is this you? Oh, Mama!" He ran to her, embracing her tightly. Mother and son held each other, a silence heavy with tears, relief, and unspoken words. After a long moment, they sat together, breaths still shaking. Mrs. Margaret's voice quivered as she spoke. "Benjamin, I've been searching for you everywhere. I couldn't find you. But now, I am so happy to see you after all this time." Benjamin's eyes filled with tears. "Mama, I've been searching for you too. Life has not been easy. After the accident, I lost my memory. I wandered, hungry, alone, until I fainted in front of a young lady's shop. She took me in, cared for me, even without knowing me. I am alive because of her. I am so happy to see you." He embraced her again, heart full. "Oh, Mama, at last! I've seen you!" Benjamin turned. "Young lady, please, what is your name?" "My name is Amarachi," she replied softly. Benjamin smiled, gratitude glowing in his eyes. "Oh, Amarachi, thank you so very much for helping my mother. You have such a good heart. God bless you." Then his gaze shifted to the figure lying on the bed nearby. "And the man over there, who is he?" Amarachi's eyes softened. "That is my father. He's not feeling well. That's why he's lying there." Benjamin studied the frail man, curiosity and concern knitting his brow. In that quiet moment, the room was filled with hope, love, and the promise of new beginnings, even amidst lingering shadows of the past. The heart that perseveres finds its way, even through the darkest night, Benjamin thought, knowing that the journey of mother and son had only just begun. "Benjamin, what is wrong with your father?" "Mr. Benjamin, my father has kidney disease. That's why he hasn't been well for a long time now," Benjamin replied, his jaw tight with urgency. "Then we should not be sitting here. Please, come in." He called out to his bodyguards, who arrived swiftly. With careful hands, they lifted Mr. Peter into Benjamin's black SUV. Engines roared to life, tires spinning against the wet pavement as the SUV raced toward the hospital, a symbol of hope against the clock. Inside the sterile, humming operating theater, Benjamin worked with precision and determination. Sweat beaded his brow, but his hands were steady, guided by years of training and an unbreakable resolve. The operation was a success. Mr. Peter's eyes fluttered open, and joy radiated from him as if the universe itself had granted him a second chance. Mrs. Margaret's voice rang through the room, tears of relief flowing freely. Benjamin smiled, a quiet satisfaction warming him. The family, once fractured, was reunited. Days passed, and life slowly began to breathe again. One evening, during dinner, Benjamin studied Amarachi across the table. "Amarachi, what do you really want to do? What are your plans? Do you want to continue with your business?" Amarachi's eyes softened with thought. "Well, my plans are to go to school. I want to become a lawyer, a successful lawyer. I want to run the business, but after I've gone to school." Benjamin nodded. "Okay. No problem." The days that followed were full of shared dreams and laughter. Benjamin and Amarachi grew close, exchanging stories of hardships, victories, and aspirations. Love began to bloom silently, tender, yet unstoppable. Then came Amarachi's birthday. Benjamin's heart raced with anticipation. He had arranged a scholarship for her to attend university and study law. He had also secured a restaurant where she could continue her business, hiring staff to help her manage it. When he handed her the envelope, her hands trembled. "Oh my, is this real?" she whispered. Benjamin smiled, eyes sparkling. "Come with me." He led her to the restaurant, her joy erupting into laughter and tears. The gift was not only a place of work, but a bridge to her dreams. Meanwhile, at home, Mrs. Margaret and Mr. Peter's bond deepened. She discovered his love for food, and it was through this shared passion that Amarachi had been inspired to open her food store. One quiet evening on the balcony, Mr. Peter's hand brushed Mrs. Margaret's. Nervous but sincere, he spoke. "Mrs. Margaret, I've been nurturing a feeling in my heart for the past month. First, thank you for everything. You've been a blessing. But that's not all. Curiosity flickered in her eyes. What are you talking about, Mr. Peter? He laughed softly, a nervous warmth in his tone. Mrs. Margaret, the truth is, I like you. I am in love with you. Mrs. Margaret laughed, disbelief mingling with delight. Come on, we are supposed to be grandparents. We are both old. How can we be talking about love? Age is no chain for the heart, he replied. Ever since I saw you, I knew you were the one I wanted to spend my life with. If you give me this honor, I promise I will never take you for granted. And so, their love began, quiet yet fierce, a testament to life's second chances. Benjamin, witnessing this, laughed in surprise and joy. Mama, what's going on? He asked, eyes twinkling. Mrs. Margaret blushed, shyly recounting the confession. Benjamin's heart swelled. Mama, I need to tell you something too. I am in love with Amarachi, but I don't know how to tell her. Son, she said, eyes warm and wise, tell her. That girl is good. I want her to be the mother of my grandchildren. Don't wait for another man. Go to her. You already have my blessings. Benjamin laughed, heart light. Later, he proposed to Amarachi. Her own feelings had long been blooming quietly, and she joyfully accepted. Benjamin ensured her father and she had a home, but Mr. Peter, refusing to live apart, insisted they all stay together, building one joyful family. Years passed. Amarachi graduated as a lawyer, fulfilling her dreams. Benjamin and Amarachi thrived, the restaurant flourished, and love filled the household. Mrs. Margaret and Mr. Peter married for the second time, their love a beacon of hope and resilience. And so, amid triumphs and trials, laughter and tears, they lived, not just happily ever after, but fully, richly, and as a family bound by courage, love, and the timeless wisdom of the heart. The river that flows through the mountains will find the sea. So too will love and family find their way home.